Hello everybody, this is Isaiah C. from the OutdoorExperiment.com, and this is part 3 of the Hunting Wisconsin Whitetail series, and we're going to get it started off. It is November, and it's getting cold, and I get a chance to take a shot at a deer, so let's see what happens. This is about a month and a half into the season. It's colder, definitely a lot colder. I was freezing my butt off that morning. I got out there real early. I saw him there, so I snuck up on that spot. So let me fast forward real quick here. The deer did pretty much exactly as I predicted. He popped out of the field, and then he started walking towards me, which gave me the opportunity to get up and stand there with my bow in a ready position. As soon as he was close enough, I drew my bow back and I leaned over the side of the tree, aimed right at him, and he looked up. The arrow went just behind his right shoulder. It wasn't pretty, but it was very effective, and it just sliced right through him. Okay, we have to get that in slow motion so you guys can see. You can't really see the arrow once it hits the deer. You can see it sticking out the other side for a split second or two in the video, but it's pretty hard to see. But you can see that green lumenok shooting through. So I'm going to do this in slow motion so that you guys could get a better look of what happened.
Sure I got him. Although I don't see that lumenok in him, it's probably deep. That probably wasn't perfect, but I shot center, so it probably went right into his gut. That's why it was running funny. Now we look at the watch and wait at least a half an hour. Some people would say an hour. The last thing you want is him to get up and run. He'll probably lay down right over around the corner there. Okay, so there's a stiff breeze, and I'm cold, so I can't wait any longer. Just to try to get a perspective of what we're looking at. Okay, do you see the can, the beer can with the 2 rocks? That's how I knew how far away that deer was. I marked that a couple of weeks ago. That's 30 yards. He was standing just off to the side of that. And that's how I was able to estimate distance and hit him good. Admittedly, he's a smaller deer. And sometimes it's hard to tell how far away they are. Because sometimes when they're bigger or smaller, it makes them look like they're far away when they're not. He looked like he was far away even though he was only 30 yards. But that's because he was smaller. There's where I shot him. He popped out there. And then if you come back around, I'm sitting behind this pine tree here, which blocked the major mass of my body. And then if you get down here, my chair was like, just behind it. There's my chair, my backpack, my house pack, my beer, Whitetail Express. That bow is super old, but it worked just fine. And a hat. Let me take a step back here. Basically, I could sit on the other side of this pine tree and shoot out either way. And I got other pine trees alongside of me. But if you come out in the field, you're completely exposed. But what they do is they pop out, come around that corner, and that's when you get them. And it worked. And it's 9:09, so that's I shot him at like 7:35. So that's almost an hour and a half. Almost an hour and a half that I've waited before I'm gonna go and get him. I left the rope in the truck, so I'm gonna have to walk back and get the rope. I may or may not show you guys me tracking it down if I find a blood trail, I'll show that. Otherwise, I ain't gonna show myself walking around the woods looking for a deer. But with any luck, he's just right around the corner. But I will show you when I get to it if I find him. So cross my fingers. Sometimes they run away real far and you never find them. That happens.
Okay, so for all the obvious reasons, tracking ends up taking a long time, pretty much no matter what you do. In this case, I think it took about an hour. I walked back and forth quite a bit of times. I passed the deer at least a couple of times, and finally I found him. But before I found him, we're going to pick up real quick with some of the stuff I saw along the way tracking the deer down. And this is a big, huge, it's like a mineral lick. It's a spring coming out of the ground, and you can't really tell because it's so stomped down with deer prints. But it's a natural spring, and they go right through there and they drink, and they literally lick the dirt because it's got minerals in it. And there's a lot of springs like that in Wisconsin. All the information, all the scouting I did just accumulated to that this was a good spot. This just further proves it.
This trail coming in, just tons of footprints in it. Deer heaven, those are all deer prints. That's kind of insane. And what do you know? Here we go. There's a blood spot right there. Hopefully it's not too far away. But I'm going to mark this spot and I'm going to keep going.
So I found that blood trail and I followed it to very near the road, and I was a little worried because it's private property on the other side of the road and I'm not allowed to go over there. And I kind of noticed it seemed like it stopped, and what I think happened was the little deer decided to double back and come back the other way. And so I pretty much walked straight the other way where I would have assumed he might have went, and lo and behold, he was right there. And that was the same patch of maybe like 300 yards of woods that I was hunting in. I was on the other side of it, and I'm happy I found him because there's nothing worse than not finding a deer you shot.
Here we go, here he is. He must have doubled back. Maybe he saw something he was scared of. Double back. Poor guy. Right underneath these pines. Probably walked past him twice and didn't see him. But here he is. I'm gonna get a closer look. No. He's dead alright. I'm not totally positive where my arrow's at. It probably came out. But I might look for that a little bit later because he couldn't have gone that far. Just a small little... Oh look, he's got a nubbin. It's a small little buck. There's a tiny little horn there. I gotta get a tag in his ear and then I'll flip him over and check it out. Nice healthy little deer. Okay, so the appropriate thing to do is to make a slit in his ear right there. There's a little hole in his ear. You see my finger pushing through it. And then you take a piece of string and you slice. You get your deer tag and you put a little slice. It's hard to see on this, but you could put a slice on the day, AM or PM, and then the month, which is in November, all the way down there. Then you fold it over its ear and you run something through these little holes to hold it onto its ear. And I can't hold the camera while I'm doing this, but then you do that before you even cut it or touch it or do anything. That's the very first thing you do. And then I'm going to take my rope right here. I'm going to do a little loop through. Take my rope and do a little loop, put it over his neck, and then I'm going to drag him out into the woods where I have a tripod for the camera and I can show you the rest.
So I ended up dragging him out of the woods, and it took a while. It probably took me a good 45 minutes to get him out of the woods. I had to drag him a couple hundred yards. I don't have a cart. I use that rope, and it's exhausting. I was exhausted in the video. I could probably be in a little bit better shape, but it's just in general, it's exhausting to drag the deer out. If you're not able to do it, you probably either need help or you'll need a cart with wheels on it. I don't have a cart with wheels on it. I'm still pretty young, so I just force myself to drag it out. I use a nice thick rope, and it makes it a lot easier. So, all that work and effort, all that scouting and preparation, it all paid off. I got my deer. I don't put a whole lot of stock in shooting trophies or shooting big bucks. Everybody wants to. It's exciting. I have before, but I'll just be honest, that's not what it's all about. It's all about being out in the outdoors and enjoying nature. This was a small deer, and I don't take too many small deer, but every once in a while I will. I wouldn't go shoot a bunch of small deer every year or something goofy like that, but you can't buy too much into the marketing. If everybody and their brother shot, a big buck, there would be no big bucks left. And realistically, you can't expect to get a buck every year. Many people are lucky just to even get a deer. And the idea that somehow everybody's supposed to have this 200 class trophy buck on the wall is kind of absurd at best. So, just as long as you're having fun, appreciate nature, and you're modest about how many animals you take and whatnot, I think you're okay. Don't get haughty about it and respect the animal as much as you can. And that's what I try to do. It works for me, and I love eating them. So, and that's the best part, eating the deer afterwards is completely rewarding. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And for more on hunting white-tailed deer, visit theoutdoorexperiment.com.